We are back. Welcome to the Rally Cry halftime show as 100 Thieves. My goodness, Joshi. Kind of doused TSM in that first match.
Yeah, not much of a game, honestly. It just felt like 100 Thieves just won every skirmishes to start things off, and then it never really stopped from there. 100 Thieves, great job at controlling every single objective. Great job turning around every fight on its head. And again, it just felt like TSM were slow to a lot of these plays. They were like, are we going for this? Are we not? What's the plan here? And 100 Thieves are like, bam!
Yeah, and you can't hesitate, especially at this point in the upper bracket as well. I mean, like 100 Thieves, they're not playing to mess around, and Yukino, probably the person that between him and Pretty, they were like firing on all cylinders on every single engage.
We've been talking about when you pick the Annie, you play to win that mid-jungle 2v2. Definitely did so in that match. Made things really easy for 100 Thieves to have a pretty clean and one-sided victory in Game 1 to see if TSM can bounce back in Game 2 and 3. But before that, we got to learn a little bit more about our players, guys, in this halftime show. And for me, that was synced up. What better way to do that than I'm going to bring back another old game. I'm just stealing all of Kangus's fire this week. We got Tic Tac Trivia, which I don't know if we played that a whole lot so far. So, guys, please enjoy. I'm going to make you guys, once again, fight to see who goes first. So, rock, paper, scissors, please. On shoot.
Whoa.
On shoot.
Oh, okay.
All right, Josh. All right, so the game, for those at home, the game is you have to pick a player and answer a trivia question right about them in order to get the mark. So, Josh, you go first. You will be X's. Rafa, you will be O's. So, Josh, fire away. Who do you want?
I'm always really bad at these. Let's go ahead and do Dragku.
Draku. All right. Draku. All right, this is actually a fun one. How many languages can Draku speak?
Do I have to know which languages they are or just the number?
That's just the number, but the bonus question we'll share.
Ooh, I'm going to guess 3.
3. Okay.
Yeah.
Wrong. Now,
Wrong.
Mark, you can guess to steal, but if you want to steal, then you have to get 3 out of the 4 languages correct.
Oh, well, he gets the first part.
I was about to say 4, but
Yeah. Oh, wow. How'd you get that right?
Good
Wow.
job. Good job, Mark.
It's not like I've had any slip-ups today at all,
Yeah,
you know?
okay, anyway.
Well, if you want to steal, you got to get 3 out of 4 of them right.
English.
Okay.
I was hoping you'd forget that one.
God, I don't know.
I think I know what 2 of them are.
I don't know his heritage. English. Does he speak? I'm just gonna throw out Korean.
Okay.
English, Korean. I'm gonna guess Mandarin.
Okay, keep going.
I got that's 3.
I know,
That's
but
3.
you have 2 right. 1's wrong.
Oh,
Keep
okay.
going.
Oh, okay. Spanish.
Nope. It is, in fact, English, Mandarin, Cantonese, and Russian, fun fact.
Russian.
Oh.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
never have gotten that one.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm trying to
Forgot
make
about
these somewhat
Cantonese.
gettable,
Yeah.
but we might add an O there later. I mean, I gave that
No,
one
no,
away.
that's
Maybe
fine,
that's
that's
just a
fine.
dead space.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right.
I actually knew the first 3. I had no idea on Russian. And so
Yeah.
that was the big thing, is I knew he could speak English, Cantonese, Mandarin, and if I had to guess a 4th one, I was going to go Malay, just because it's a very commonly spoken language.
Yeah, and he's from like.
Well, you see, we
O's
like to
area, right?
we like to learn new things about our players. So we're gonna keep things moving. Rafa, you get to pick the next one. Who would you like to answer a question about?
Let's go.
We got to keep it moving. This isn't keeping it moving.
Hanser.
Okay. In 2015, Hanser's first LCS team was Team Gravity. They didn't win a best of 5 that year despite making quarters twice. Now, also back then, there was the regional gauntlet to decide who goes to Worlds.
Yes.
Which team reverse swept Hanser in that gauntlet?
Cloud9.
Cloud9, that is correct. Bonus question, I will say, what was Hanser's most played champion that year? Just for fun. We can keep on moving. Throwing out. 2015.
Gnar.
It was, Gnar was, he was 5-1 on Gnar, but his most played, it was
Rumble?
the year of Maokai. 14 plays on Maokai back in Season 5. Rumble was the second most played. He was 5-2 with 7 plays.
Okay.
Anyway,
right.
Joshi, we're going to keep it moving. Who you got?
We've swapped, I guess. I was supposed to be the X's, but I'm going to
wait,
take
no.
Neo.
Hold on. I can't lie for that. You guys can see my horrible handwriting.
He
Oh,
gave me
okay.
the
This is a fun
reverse
one,
D.
Josh. This is back when I started casting.
Uh-oh.
What was Neo's old IGN, and which amateur team did he compete for before joining Dignitas Academy?
Before? I don't know. I don't remember him before Dignitas Academy.
Okay, then
That was the first time I remember seeing him.
we have a chance to steal. Rafa.
All right, Mark.
So, which amateur team he played on before?
Yes.
And what was his name?
Well, the name is escaping me, but he played for Mirage Esports.
He did play for Mirage. We'll give it to you. What his old IGN was Asta.
Oh, that's right.
You even mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
Yes. And now the bonus question. I'll give you a hint for this one. You can each answer it. Which marksman replaced him? Hint: they are in the league right now.
Instinct on Mirage.
That is correct. Back then, Instinct went by Asilian.
Yep.
But yes, that is correct. Josh,
Let's
you
go,
pick
Mark.
this one.
Dang.
I'm gonna advise you choose Svenskeren.
All right, Svenskeren.
All right, now if you miss this, then it's bad. But hey, that's all right. All right, we got a true or false for you, Josh.
Oh no.
Svenskeren has been competing since season 1.
True.
That is true.
Yeah, he's been playing since like 2011 or something.
Yes.
I remember super far back. I even brought up like his first team at some point. It was some name that I had never heard before, but it's like some random European team. Been around
All
for a long
right.
time.
I don't know what it is.
All right.
My turn?
Thank
Yeah, your
God.
turn. You
Thank
get to
God.
pick.
I got one.
Oh.
You got to
Pick.
give me.
Oh, man. Let's...
It was a coin flip, not a gimme.
Yep.
Very different golf term, you know.
Golf term. Let's do Destiny.
Destiny. Okay, Destiny. True or false? Destiny was the second Australian and Oceanic resident to compete in the LEC.
A true or false question?
Yeah.
False.
It is false. He was the first. So congrats. You're doing well here. Yeah,
Nice.
I was
All
trying
right.
to. I had 2 true or falses, and I was like, I gotta make one false. So
True.
I guess you
Well,
win the
okay.
coin
Well,
flip.
let's take Doxa then. Force
Okay.
him to go for pretty.
Okay. So Doxa won the 2021 Collegiate Championship with Winthrop. Who did he compete for in Collegiate in 2022? And the bonus question is what role?
Oh God. No. Who was he on?
There were multiple role swaps in that team. He did. Because one of the other players was Strompist. I'll give you a hint. He was. Mark, do you know what team it was? It was indeed St. Louis University. All right, Mark, you win. Since we have a little bit of time, we'll speed run a couple of the others.
Tactile. We'll take pretty.
Yeah,
See if we
Pretty.
get Mark to win another one.
All right, Mark, Pretty.
Okay.
This is actually a fun one. Pretty, back when he was in EU, Pretty has competed on 2 ex-EU LCS teams, or LEC teams. Or no, it was ex-EU LCS teams. That's a hint. And 2 current LEC teams. Name one of those current orgs and one of the ex-orgs.
Excel. SK.
Wrong on both. Okay.
Okay,
Josh, you want to
wasn't-
take a stab?
One of them was Millennium, right?
Yes, one of them was Millennium. That was his first team.
Yeah. And then that was the X team. The current team. Didn't he play for the Mad Lions organization?
He did. It was also Vitality Academy and the Vodafone Giants. Were the other
yeah,
two.
the
I
Giants.
liked that one. That was a fun one. All right, then what do we got? Unforgiven. Okay, Unforgiven got a pentakill against CLG Faith earlier this year. What year was his last pentakill before that? And bonus question was, what team was he on?
2022 Mad Lion.
Josh?
I was gonna say the same thing.
Oh, okay. It was 2021 with SK Prime. So I win that one.
All right,
last
let's go,
one-
Cubby. Cubby's got 2 on the board. That's the same
I
as
know.
me.
I know.
Yukino.
Yeah, last time, Yukino. All right, Yukino's solo queue ID was Yukino Cat 1. What other jungler in the league that wants to face Yukino in playoffs had a cat reference in their solo queue account? And what was the solo queue account?
What?
Tomio?
No,
that's
Tomio's
C9
account
Medios.
is Draven696969 and C2 Medios, which you should know.
Oh, well, okay. Yeah, that's right.
Those are his
C2
two,
Medios. Cat name in their jungle.
I thought it was Chad. I thought it was
No.
Chad, but I don't remember what the name was.
The correct answer is Perry, whose name was Ghostly Cat back in solo queue. That was an old IGN. So they go
there
back
you
as
go.
friends. And folks, that was some Tic Tac trivia. So thanks for joining us.
All right. Think
Hopefully,
more trivia.
yeah, hopefully you guys had a decent time with that. I know we do have draft coming up
I'm
shortly.
so bad at those.
I'm gonna give one last thought because I'm in the flex role. I gotta say, TSM, it feels like they took a scaling comp and consistently fought in the Andy Jarvan. I don't want to see that next game. Thoughts?
True. Same. I agree. 100 Thieves didn't really feel like they were tested because they had a better early game composition.
Yeah.
They were better at fighting it. And again, I really need to see, I think TSM have a little bit more tools to fight early on. They have never really won games where they were relying on scaling, unless it was games where they just automatically won because they had picked a draft that just won all of their lanes by default. So
Yeah.
I really want to see some more power, especially coming out from Neo and Dragku.
All right. Well, guys, hopefully it's going to be ready soon. I'm going to ask production real quick. I don't see it on my screen. Do we have drafts ready? Yes. All right. Fire away. Game 2 draft coming right on up. Take it away, guys.
Boom. We got the portal.
There's no place like home.
TSM now on blue side this time around, so they get a little bit of first
Blue.
pick priority. First pick that 100 Thieves locked in last game was that Annie, and pretty unlike both of Dignitas and FlyQuest, had an amazing game on it. So it just goes to show that in the right hands or with the right mindset.
Yeah.
What this champion.
And also when people are just like fighting into it.
Yeah.
It was really hard for them to really push pretty, and they never really looked for some of those big opportunities. Doxa and Dragku have not had particularly exciting any performances either, so I don't know if that's going to be something that TSM Challengers are going to try and pick for themselves. But 100 Thieves Challengers don't even want to risk it. They will be taking it away. I'm expecting this to be a Gragas, and it is
Boom.
almost instantly. Don't give it to Doxa, give it to Svenskeren.
Svenskeren is quite immaculate on the big man. Body slam flashes into explosive cast combos, full AP burst, and then that's what you can start trying to build a composition around, because displacement is always one thing that threatens backline, but big burst is also something great for reset comps. Jinx is a big one, maybe that Neo can get his hands on.
True. And immediately, it looks as though the Jarvan is going to be the answer coming through for 100 Thieves. Not necessarily a direct lane counter pick, but can be played up in the top lane, can be played in the jungle. And uh-oh, this was the champion that Unforgiven got his pentakill against CLG Faith on, was the Zeri, certified Zeri moment, chasing people down over and over. And the number of times where Unforgiven, after the fight, feels mostly decided, just is able to jump forward and take these big opportunities. It doesn't matter what champion he's on, he will always be able to look for those opportunities. That's where he got the triple kill, became the boogeyman.
That's right. Boogeyman, Unforgiven.
Baba Yaga.
Yeah. The other thing, too, for 100 Thieves, the confidence in locking in this Jarvan somewhat deters TSM from being able to lock in Xayah right away, because as Cubby called it out, Jarvan is one of the, much similar to how Vi is a jungle counter pick to Zeri, because you can chase her wherever you can. Jarvan is kind of the answer to Xayah, because you can't Featherstorm out of a Cataclysm. You're still stuck in there. So, recognizing that, and there's
the Jinx coming
Jinx.
through.
Boom,
I mean,
boom.
definitely an option, right? As you're talking about, Night Harvester, Gragas is one of Svenskeren's favorite things, and is going to be the Nautilus coming through. I was kind of wondering if this was going to be a Lulu for Destiny, but instead going for something a little bit more engagey. They again have a fair amount of displacement, a fair amount of crowd control already. Now they need some damage to back it up. Pretty has been known to play things like the Talia and a lot of these mages, which are a little bit less exciting now on 13.5, especially with Azir taken out of the meta. But I would also love to see one of his secret picks coming through as well. Have you heard what Jensen's opinion is on Pretty? He's saying his best character, we actually haven't seen him play at all since his time in NA. It's Twisted Fate.
Yeah, I mean, you brought that up in Game 1 as well, and we talked about it plays a lot into his roaming strengths and facilitations around the entire map. I don't think Twisted Fate is great if you need extra bit of damage from 100 Thieves. I mean, Unforgiven.
Make Darshan do it.
We could have Darshan bring in the damage. Darshan has been known. You know what? Darshan was one of the first players that brought Tryndamere to the fray in Challengers League back in an academy before Tryndamere had caught on in the rest of the world.
But he was only doing it as a Gangplank counterpick.
Yeah.
That's the only time you would ever see him do that. So we'll kind of see. Darshan, ever since his return from Valorant, has been fine, right? He's not necessarily super impressing us like he was during his time on Cloud9 previously, but it's not as though he's really struggling either. He's definitely been a player who's holding his own, especially against Hanser, who has
killed Hanser.
Yeah.
I think we've kind of called Hanser the best top player in the league.
He's definitely in the conversation. He's definitely one of the best. And so we'll see what the answer actually is going to be here. I'm expecting Pretty to go for something in the mid lane that's relatively safe. I was going to say either like a Syndra or maybe like a Victor now that the Orianna is taken off the table. But instead, they're going to be looking towards the top side of the map, building even more of a powerful top side, a very powerful front line to go for. And Darshan has been one of these players who is very focused on a lot of the more traditional top lanes, a lot of the things that have been around the scene for such a long time, where they haven't necessarily put a ton of time, especially on characters like Cassante. I think during his interview, he said he had never played it before.
Yep. And just going into that Gragas matchup is like, I mean, I've seen this champion, but I haven't played it myself, and I have not played that much games into it. So when he got the solo kill on me, I was just like, oh, I guess he can do then.
Yeah. Wow, the Jace coming through. Now, we technically don't know where it's going to be going. We've been seeing a lot of Jace mid as well as the Jace top. And we will be learning a lot about the TSM composition out of nowhere, whatever this last pick is going to go through. It's heavily implied right now that Doxa will be the one actually piloting the Jace, as the Cassante is locked in. Darshan going to be putting through the ringer once again up against this champion. And, I mean, at least he's got a decent matchup, right? The Sion does fight the Cassante to a standstill.
All right, Josh. If you're Pretty, what do you slam into Jace in the mid lane?
Into Jace?
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on how degenerate you want to be, right? Something like an Ahri is absolutely brutal for a Jace. An Echo is also really tough for Jace to deal with after the landing phase is over. Victor is totally fine. You can kind of play anything that has like a line skill shot, because as long as you have that line skill shot crowd control, Jace can never go for a hammer Q. You can never go for a two of the skies because you're just going to get knocked out of it. And so as this Victor does come through, it actually gives Doxa some opportunity to play the lane phase a little bit more aggressively, but also gives Pretty a ton of power in these team fights, a ton of battlefield control. He's not playing this for the lane. He's playing it to be in control later on.
Yep. And we were kind of wondering where was a lot of the damage going to come from 100 Thieves Challengers if Unforgiven ever gets taken out of the fight. I mean, with a solid 3-tank front line in Yukino, Darshan, and Destiny, Pretty has to really reach into his back pocket and say, all right, time to bring out the Victor once again so that we have that upfront, not only just burst magic damage that he brings with the initial Chaos Storm, but the continuous procs of laser, 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 sorry.
I was going to wait to see how long you're going to keep on going.
I couldn't hold it. You looked at me and you're like, are you really going to say this over and over just for the bit?
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Evil, the freaking sharks with freaking lasers.
Oh, that's right.
Heads.
That's right.
That's what they say, too. It is the frickin'. But either way, getting into the game 2 of 100 Thieves Challengers versus TSM Challengers. The winner of this will be moving on in the upper bracket, playing up against Dignitas in the upper bracket, which is, again, another big challenge for both of these teams. And 100 Thieves, very dominant in Game 1, going into Game 2. If you are just tuning into the series for the first time, it was TSM not looking like themselves previously, but as we start going into this one, we do have some more powerful champions to play around. Doxa can actually play this lane for a pretty heavy advantage, which we were kind of asking for. Is like, this Gragas just isn't it.
Yep. And we know Doxa is fantastic on the melee champions. You know, obviously the Gragas didn't really live up to kind of those expectations, but I mean, kind of the days of when we really got hyped about Doxa, whether it was in collegiate or even TSM amateur, things like the Akali, things like the Sylas. Jace, not necessarily a similar archetype, but it is someone that is going to bring a lot of damage, and you have a lot of 1v1 potential, especially when you move on to the side lane later on.
Yeah, we'll see what Doxa is able to do with it. Does go for the Conqueror in order to be a little bit better in these more extended trades, these longer fights. But TSM, at the same time, since Garen's starting down in the bottom side with a little bit of health, will be able to clear this bottom side very quickly. And also, I'm kind of curious, right? Svenskeren was a player that we had prized quite a bit for their ability to control the map over and over again. But when his lanes are not in a position of power, it becomes so much more difficult for that style of gameplay to be worthwhile.
Yeah, and we've definitely seen times where, you know, obviously the positive side, Svenskeren is controlling the map, but also he's making those assumptions, and then his laners are not actually there to back him up. And it's something that has been a struggle for Svenskeren as he's just getting used to playing in a competitive setting again, just almost making assumptions and just going, oh wait, I need to remember to tick off this box first before I go for these types of aggressive plays.
That was probably my favorite call of spring 2023 is like, are TSM in comms? Do you remember that play?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Doxa is like backing in a bush and Svenskeren goes in for a play while Doxa's out of mana. It's like, what happened there? And unfortunately, we're seeing inklings of that, right? When they were playing up against CLG, it was very clear that the communications weren't going super well for TSM. Unfortunately, not quite having the same kind of success here up against 100 Thieves. And now, I mean, we were saying that Doxa needed to play this lane for an advantage, but Jace is also one of the characters, whenever people ask about like the difference in levels of ping, Jace is one of the first characters that you will hear people talk about combos that you just can't do on high ping. One of the most obvious ones is, in fact, just using the Q before your E coming out and making sure you can do it close to yourself so you get all of the extra movement speed. Cooking bangers.
I do like bangers. I don't think I've ever cooked one though before. I don't know.
What about mash?
I mean, I've cooked mash before.
But not bangers?
Nope. Oh, bangers and mash. Sorry, I now understand what you're referring to. Like when you said mash, I was like,
what does mash have to do with that? He's on CLG.
I mean, well, mashed potatoes but okay. Sorry,
we figured it out.
We figured it out. Moving on. Dragon spawning in the next minute. Neither team really has a really commanding presence over the bottom side of the map. Both AD carries are kind of scaling. And Svenskeren's looking to take away some Raising Canes.
Yeah. And Yukino already coming in saying, hell nah, give me that bread too. None of that coleslaw. It's only one little bit that he's able to take away, but Svenskeren still looking to try and make something happen a little bit. And so far, neither jungler having much of an impact on the map just quite yet. But you do see Dragku moving up at a bit of an odd timer, allowing Unforgiven and Destiny. They should be able to get this crash off. But at the very least, TSM do know that Yukino is not on that side of the map, is not around for any kind of gank or dive. And overall, a much quieter early game for TSM than what we saw last time, which I think is better for them.
And at some point, Unforgiven had managed to squeeze in an early recall, getting a longsword and boots off, and hasn't dropped his CS advantage over Neo either. So this is going to put even more pressure onto TSM's bot lane while they are waiting for their own recall timer to get a decent recall in. I imagine that if 100 Thieves really want to press this advantage, they send Yukino towards the bottom side off of this next clear.
Yeah. And he's currently spotted out on a ward as he transitions to the bottom half of the map again. And Pretty, I mean, to his credit, he's taking some fairly large chunks, but he is going to be in a position where he is actually able to play up against Doxa, who does have a very strong early laning phase on this Jace. He has not been able to create a ton of extra pressure, and Pretty going to be able to back his way out.
Haunter going for the all-in. Darshan is forced to flash.
Good stuff coming in from Darshan, not to go down, but also very good awareness from Haunter, getting level 6 and instantly using the ability that he does get that benefit off of. And Darshan, this is where he has to be very careful. He does stick around. Haunter is going to potentially look for even more pressure, but have to be careful. Darshan's going to be hitting level 6 after any one of these minions.
And there it is. And now the dive window for Haunter is no longer available. Unless you really want to limit test. Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you also want to be trading 1-for-1, but with all the minions already picked up by Darshan, not a whole lot left to go for. Pretty already has the Lost Chapter as well, and that's really where you really can ignore almost every bad lane matchup for the Victor, is as soon as you get the 100 Victor dollars and the Lost Chapter, you're able to just wave clear everything out from that position. So 100 Thieves already halfway there, and now they start to take over control of the bottom half of the map, and they are first to the punch if they do want to go for this dragon. But also look at where Svenskeren is, taking away some more of those chicken nuggies, and also has a potentially really good ganking angle onto Pretty if he wants it.
Yeah, he could also shift over towards the top side of the map. Darshan is low on mana, But as you called it out, he wants to look at Pretty first, and Doxa flashing ahead of Pretty so that he can get the knockback. Svenskeren with the body slam flash, and the auto still follows through. Doxa with first blood.
Yeah, the late flash coming out from Pretty does mean that he ends up dying. Good stuff coming through from TSM's mid-jungle duo. Getting the first kill there onto Pretty and drastically changing the shape of this game. Pretty was able to do whatever he wanted in game one. That Annie was super far ahead with this victory. If you start getting put behind, you have no flash, you are just a target, inviting Svenskeren to come back into the mid lane. And Svenskeren, again, is been one of these players that is very good at attacking places that have no flashes. Probably the most common culprit for repeat ganks.
That's right. And for Pretty, someone like Victor, I mean, Josh, you've played the Victor matchup. Maybe not into Jace that often, but you've played Victor without Flash in the past before.
You're sad.
What do you usually tell me in comms? I mean, yes. Do you ever want me to hold your hand for the next laning phases? Yeah.
It's definitely a spot where it's like, hey, if I get ganked again, I'm going to die. Like, I definitely need a lot of help here. So now Pretty is in a very tough position. Doxa is going to be very aggressive and already has the completed serrated Dirk after being the recipient of that first blood. So Pretty is mostly just playing to try and play this one for a draw at this point. Does not want to give over anything further, but also worth noting, on the other hand, because Doxa has no flash, Jace is also a character that is very reliant on that in order to get themselves out, and there's not great ways to deal with Yukino.
Another all-out from Hanser. Darshan no flash this time around, but Hanser needs to make sure that he doesn't get too close into the turret, otherwise Darshan could easily just use the Unstoppable Onslaught and then lock Hanser down, with turret shots aiding in the damage. Meanwhile, Yukino is looking bot side for the dive.
This could be big. I mean, Neo and Dragcoop still have all their summoner spells up. Where is he? Is he actually going for the dive? They're posturing as though he's there.
Looks like they're not going for it. Destiny is leaning towards the right side. I guess Yukino just hovered in case that they thought about it, but they did not want to call for the dive. Summoner advantage from Neo and Draku does make that difficult.
Yeah, I think they were really hoping Destiny might get level 6 off of that wave, but he doesn't and dissuades them from actually going for the attack. And so instead of going to be picking up this first dragon of the game, but it's not going to be chaining all the neutral objectives like it was in game 1. TSM are going to be fighting back in this one, and they get the hook.
Unforgiven forced to flash away, otherwise the trap combo would have connected, and Unforgiven, maybe he doesn't go down right away, but then he wouldn't have been able to stay in lane to catch all this fall.
Yeah, that's what I really love about some of our better players is their willingness to just flash early, right? That was one of the things that really hurt Pretty is he didn't flash early. He waited until after he already got hit by the body slam, and then that's just too late. You need to value your health bar as well, and so good stuff from Unforgiven. Make sure he gets that wave in underneath the turret, and so far, I mean, TSM, it's a very quiet lead, but they are still up over 1,000 gold at this point. And Darshan always go for the heart steal. I always forget that it's got this really odd build path.
Kindle Gem, Giant's Belt, and
Crystalline Bracer. Can't hover it.
Bracer. Yeah. Oh, damn.
We aren't the observers, man. He takes his mouse and starts hovering over like our feed. We're not that cool. This isn't LCS.
Yeah. It's okay.
You're spoiled, Mark.
Well, yeah. Wow, I can't really dig myself out of this one. I don't know.
I can get you a shovel. You can keep digging.
Yeah. I'll just bury myself.
Either way, though, 100 Thieves still in a spot where they are a little bit further behind, but their team fight is going to be mostly determined based on how strong the engages are from Yukino and Destiny. Darshan falling a little bit behind, but the big thing is this is a team that has made itself off of its ability to team fight, especially front to back, around the traditional mage player of Pretty and the best AD carry in the league in Unforgiven. And it is kind of fascinating, again, to kind of watch how these players have been going, because Neo, as we were talking about before, bouncing back and forth from LCS to Academy and Challengers, was Unforgiven. I mean, as the #1 all-pro AD carry in LEC, the fact that he's playing in Challengers right now just kind of speaks to how many strong AD carries there were in that region that he now has to play with our Challengers League.
Yeah. I think...
There's a hook.
All right, well, huge ultimate from Destiny stops Neo in his tracks. Doesn't get any real follow-up damage while Svenskeren... Oh, great explosive cast! That's an immediate flash respect from Yukino. forced to use it to get out, but now they turn for the re-engage, and Dracu steps way too far forward, but if they get the resets for Neo, but Cataclysm thrown at the last second means that Neo cannot advance forward looking for more.
Yeah, a 1-for-1 coming through at the very end of that. The support goes down for the jungler, but it's all about where the gold is actually going, and Unforgiven cannot be happy about the fact that that's another kill going over towards Neo, right? Unforgiven picking one up for themselves. It's definitely a position where the Jinx is going to be spiking harder on 2 items than Unforgiven will. Unforgiven does not spike as hard or as early as TSM will be. And Finskaren, another great ultimate. He really made some of the names yesterday, I mean earlier this week, going up against CLG with the massive barrels there. And here we go. I mean, I love the awareness from Yukino just saying, hey, I just need to lock them in place. If Neo wants to chase down the rest of my team, he's going to have to flash for it.
That's right. That's always something that I love seeing out of newer players too. Sometimes they'll die in situations where you should be using your ultimate, even if you're not going to get anything out of it because of the implications of what happens in the fight afterwards as well. Sometimes they think, oh, well, I'm going to die. There's nothing I can do. There's no point in using it. But it's always something nice to see, especially out of Yukino.
Woo!
And the all-out. This is the third one we've seen. Darshan still has the flash, but he tries to get away. Unstoppable Onslaught in a responser's flash, but it's still not enough. Hauntzer eventually whittles Darshan down for a solo kill.
Yeah, third time's the charm yet again. Haunter takes him down, and Haunter fighting this solo kill. This is supposed to be a tough matchup where you can't do a whole lot as a Cassandra. You're mostly wailing into them. That's what we were seeing with Philip earlier, and now another potential engage.
Destiny still has flash, but he's playing to Yukino so that he doesn't need to get out just in that fashion. Keeps his flash summoner spell so that he can use it aggressively or defensively the next time he is in a sticky situation.
Oh, good stuff from Destiny there. But Haunter, once again, I just kind of want to go back to that. Haunter has been another fascinating player that's kind of been bouncing in and out of Academy in Challengers League historically, right? And we've seen at different points, Haunter has been, you know, like a middle-of-the-pack top laner to this time where actually probably, you know, if not our best, definitely in our top 3 for the way that they've actually been performing, finding not the most solo kills, especially when that's, you know, being taken up by players like Hoon and Lunacia, but someone who has been consistently performing and can better shift between carries and tanks than most of our other top players that we have.
Yeah, I mean, Hauntzer's carry gameplay is one thing. His tank play is also incredible as well. I know you get particularly frustrated at players who don't know how to play tanks properly because there's this vendetta that, or this stereotype that like, oh yeah, tanks are really easy to play, but I know you are very contrarian to that.
No, there's a ton of skill expression in tanks. It's just one of those things where you're less likely to lose your team the game on tanks, but it's very obvious when people play tanks well. It's why we have such high regard for players like Impact, who are geniuses when it comes to actually playing the tank role and understanding what you need to do. And Haunter plays them. He plays a lot of his tanks kind of like he would play bruisers, which is really good in some situations. Is how you are supposed to play the Cassandra matchup into things like the Scion. But as we take a look at how the game is actually going, like, he's allowed to do that. He's got the strength to do it. He can bully around one of the other most experienced top laners that we have in the entire league. And now, Finskaren looking for another King bottom. He's already got the Night Harvester. Bam!
Looking for the bear. Oh. Well, it just takes out the Bloodthirster shield.
Huh, I've seen this before.
Yeah, well, Darshan forced to use the Unstoppable Onslaught this time.
They might still get him.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Yukino is waiting in this bush, and you called it before. Darshan trying to live on that last shield, the last Nintoko strike from Haunter, and he gets away from the turret shot as well. I mean, Haunter's taking care of this matchup just fine.
Yeah, doing a fantastic job so far. Darshan not able to play it at all. And 100 Thieves, they're going to be the ones pulling the dragon first. Doxa is chunked to about half, but so is Pretty. And 100 Thieves, do they have the tools necessary to lock down Svenskeri? He's got a lot more poke and a lot more gold than Yukino does.
Currently 5,000 HP. It looks like Dragon's going to reset or move towards TSM. TSM get to play through bot lane here, so they have the entire river entrance in full control on the bottom side, and a teleport from Haunter means that they're going to secure the second dragon of the game.
Yeah, Mountain is a absolutely massive prize to be picking up, taking away from characters like the Sion, like the Jarvan, because it makes it so much easier to get that first reset for Neo later on in the game. And Neo, again, another one of these players who has been looking for opportunities to kind of prove themselves. And being brought down, I was very surprised when we saw that Neo and Wild Turtle traded places, because Wild Turtle was not playing very well.
Yeah.
And Neo is actually doing a pretty decent job. And so this is an interesting spot once again to see him coming down towards the Challengers League, where he now has to prove himself against the best AD carry, the best player in the entire league in Unforgiven. Now Dragku going to try and help him out against Darshan.
Darshan just might be forced to use the Unstoppable Onslaught if he gets locked down further enough, but he's got friends on the way, so he's willing to trade some CC back and forth. Destiny shows up. The rest of TSM's bot lane retreats for now, as there's no minion wave to play through.
Yeah. Hunter's huge, though. I mean, he's already gotten a couple of solo kills, picked up the top lane turret all on his own, going to be given the bottom lane turret as well. This is a ton of money getting channeled into the best player that TSM has had throughout this split. And this could be the answer, right? We've seen crazier things than this. CLG Faye taking a game off of Wildcard earlier on. And now TSM, they already upset CLG.
I mean, I think it was, you mentioned, Svenskeren said that we thought that CLG was a stronger team than 100 Thieves Challengers before they even played against them in the upper bracket.
Yeah.
The fact that they took them down gives them the confidence, but 100 Thieves are ready to fight on back. Noxon knows the only way out is forward, but doesn't have enough damage to back up the Sky, the hammers. And 100 Thieves picking up a clean kill on Doxa.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we were looking at before, right? We were hoping Svenskeren would come back to punish the lack of flash on Unforgiven, the lack of flash on Pretty. Never ended up happening. It's actually Yukino who's the first one to come back, and not a whole lot for Doxa to do there. That's definitely one of the spots where it's like, Mark, just come ult him.
Yep.
Like, I have the damage. He just needs to be locked down and play so I can actually fight him. Good stuff there. Unforgiven at the same time up in the top side, going to be given a good chunk of money here as well, evening up the turrets a little bit here for 100 Thieves. But TSM still very impressively done early on. We're past the 15-minute mark. And do you know what the stats are for when 100 Thieves is not ahead of 15 minutes? Because I have no idea.
Me neither. I actually don't.
Come on,
know.
beat down.
Beat down. We need your help.
Nice hook.
That was a good hook.
Good Pengu. Svenskaren's not done, though. Okay, he's done now.
One last barrel under the tape. And for TSM, they are in better control, and it's a better showing this time around. I think, you know, we can definitely say off the back of not only Hanser having a very, very, very strong laning phase, and he's in great control, but also Svenskeren has had a lot better looks on the Gragas than in the Lee Sin in the game one.
Yeah, I was very surprised that the Gragas went over to Doxa in game one, because this is the kind of thing that Svenskeren has been known to do from time to time on this character. Unforgiven, there's a ward there. Kino, there's a ward there. Okay, there it goes. I'd say, like, if two people miss it, like, we're gonna have to talk about it. But as we start looking at it, we do get the word from Beatdown. GOL doesn't track win rate from behind, but I thought you did that manually in the first place.
Well, we'll have to catch up with him after the game, because I imagine that he's now going to feel sheepish and will do.
He's gonna go do it now that I said it.
Yeah. Now he's like, oh, all right, bet. I will make this happen.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
He says no. I ain't got time for that. 100 Thieves is making sure that they can defend this mid push.
Well, the dragon more than anything.
Yeah.
It is worth noting we have been blessed by James Wright himself. We're getting another Hex Tech Dragon, which means we get all the Hex Tech portals to come through. And 100 Thieves, this is typically when we start looking at where Unforgiven tends to make his name, and also where Sniper was really becoming a big player as another gank from Yukino.
They called missing pings. They knew that Yukino took the portal, so Dox's only way out of this one is to force the all-in on a Pretty, but he's still got a stopwatch for the nice timing to make sure that he is still alive. But TSM taking that opportunity to take down the mid turret.
Yeah, the priority that comes out from that, no rocket getting sent out from Neo. So it will be going to be backing away and teleporting back into the fight. That's a couple of big ultimates already expended. Doxa will be able to get there if the Dragon isn't started up almost instantly. And so 100 Thieves, they don't have a large window with which to try and make this play.
And Pretty doesn't even have to burn teleport, thanks to Portal Gaming.
Portal Gaming.
Portal Gaming, baby. Rift Herald expended in the mid lane. This will now force TSM to choose whether you want river control or do you want to give up your tower. And it looks like they're going to forfeit river control for now.
Yeah. Ooh, does it actually get the turret? That'll be big. And it does.
They get everything, Josh.
That Doxa was teleporting.
Yeah, oh my goodness, and Doxa teleport is also stopped as well. So Doxa's not going to be there right immediately, and yeah, TSM, they just keep control of everything.
That's what we call a depression walk towards top lane. Is like, well, I was going to try and contest it. Here comes the rocket.
Oh!
Surprisingly close, but not going to be coming through there. 100 Thieves find themselves another dragon. Nowhere close to the soul at this point in the game, but still, don't put that in the glass.
Sorry.
Mark's fidgeting.
I noticed Josh was fidgeting earlier, and I took it away, but then now I'm doing the same thing. Yeah.
I saw you just like, oh, this almost perfectly fits. Doesn't quite, but now Pretty has to be very careful.
Oh! Hook, and it's already a flash burn out of Pretty, and he distanced himself away. Unforgiven is not necessarily behind his front line, but not in any immediate danger of Haunter either.
That's actually the second time in this game that we've seen fantastic responses to the explosive cask, right? Destiny with a good hook before, Yukino with the flag and drag to get himself out there. So far, 100 Thieves doing a pretty good job reacting to the engages.
Oh, Yukino, he's fine. Okay.
Fine. Yeah, your other favorite jungler almost did the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a little Monka W.
Monka W, and so TSM, honestly, again, huge turnaround from them in this game. It's been fascinating to watch because this is a team that does not have a coach, right? They have not had a whole lot of support. They were kind of put together at the last minute with a lot of players that they played with in the past. I think the only one that was a big, like a surprise to me that got picked up was Dragku, right? Because, you know, Haunter's been in and out of the TSM ecosystem, Svenskeren as well. Wild Turtle has been a TSM mainstay for years. Doxa played for TSM Amateur, and then Dragku, the one import that they got to pick up from Oceania. But here we go. Teleport.
And Haunter teleported on top.
Pretty.
Svenskeren came through. Destiny interrupts the body slam, though, from Svenskeren. And Pretty has bought a lot of time, but Haunter's committing the flash and the all-out, and Pretty has nowhere
Another
near
stopwatch.
But the rest of
Unforgiven.
they're trying to collapse in, trying to give Pretty as much time as he can, but he's run out of mana, but he's got no more damage. The Chaos Storm does take out Doxa. Pretty's still alive, Josh! He lives through the entire game. They take down
There's no way. There's no way Pretty's still alive after all of that. That's your one. That's your one. 100 Thieves, they're onto the Baron. Suddenly, we are back to an even game, Mark. It's wild. Pretty with another stopwatch, absolutely clutch in that last fight. And TSM trying to take that. They thought it was going to be a good fight, but Neo didn't get to participate.
Neo was cut off at the river. No way to participate as well. And 100 Thieves, I mean, for me, MVP goes to Destiny, being able to just buy as much time as he can before the rest of the front line could reposition safely.
Yeah, this hook is super clutch. Getting that away, making sure that Pretty has a bit more space to play with. And then after that, it's just Destiny trying to make sure that Pretty can stay alive, distracting the rest of the team, literally body blocking Pretty. And the crazy thing afterwards is as they try and keep him alive at the very end, all of the crowd control comes back together. All of the displacement is there. Haunter cannot move and watches as Pretty walks away with 100 HP.
Even the heal from Unforgiven. Oh, another hook. 3-man play from Dragku, but his health bar is deleted just like Destiny's. It's a support for support trade. So Mega Death Rocket does not take out any other members from 100 Thieves, but Pretty and Yukino are both sub 50% HP.
And everybody's going to have to be backing away. I mean, that is a big usage of the Baron buff that is going to be missing is Darshan. He's got the Heart Steal. That's also a new item for him.
True.
But 100 Thieves, they do need to be careful to play around this upcoming Dragon, right? They've gotten a little bit of chunk here onto Doxa and Svenskeren. And with Portal Gaming, they will be back in time. And so far, I mean, some of the big leads that we were looking at from TSM were largely thrown away by their overzealous engagement. And now Darshan still a fair ways behind Haunter, a whole 2 levels, but when he's got Pretty in his back pocket, they will absolutely be able to burn down Haunter in these upcoming fights. And I also love the itemization coming out from Pretty, right? Making sure that they have the stopwatch, the Zhonya's hourglass, to keep them alive, to buy them a lot of time in these fights. And also, you know, the Leanders would be really good against Hanser, but you have a lot of squishy targets that you can laser. Laser. Draku?
Finds Destiny, played into the traps, takes a lot of damage to the face. Super Mega Death Rocket does not take him out completely, but he's still about a quarter of his HP left. Meanwhile, Chaos Storm was traded against Hanser, and the tank for TSM is now also at a quarter of HP, and he doesn't have a teleport to rejoin this fight in anticipation of this dragon.
Yeah. I mean, Pretty just standing his ground, making sure that there's nothing to be done by TSM. And where's Yukino going? Heading on over towards the mid lane, getting that wave pushing out. And 100 Thieves will get a little bit of pressure down with this Baron buff. And another escape.
These have been immaculate, both from Destiny and Yukino, being able to time the buffer of their movements to escape the clutches of the explosive cask.
Yeah, great stuff. Svenskeren, I mean, he's doing a good job trying to lock down these players, but the young player, Yukino, I mean, one of my favorite things to listen to about him is just the way that his coaches and everybody else in the ecosystem will talk about young Johnny Yukino Dang. You know, I know you're going to talk about the Prowler's Claw and all the crazy things he does.
Hell
the
yeah.
attitude he has for the game, the willingness to learn, the willingness to listen to the coaches has really set him apart and set an example for even some of the older players on the team.
Yeah, even Darshan, who has just come back in after taking a month break, playing exclusively Valorant and getting back into the League of Legends fray, he was surprised and pleasantly surprised about how not only fun Yukino is, but also how receptive he is to criticism and feedback. And he can tell that Yukino has a long and bright future ahead of him.
Yeah, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed.
That's right.
Stealing lunch money.
One of our younger players, too.
Yeah. Now, I also want to point out something interesting from Unforgiven. Still does not have a Mythic completed. Infinity Edge, Bloodthirster, Runin's Hurricane. And now, I mean, that's a ton of damage going to be able to heal up against all the melee champions that will be trying to take him down during these fights. 3-0-0, 500 bounty. I mean, we were saying 100 Thieves is a team that makes or breaks themselves based on their ability to team fight. And now Hanser.
He's looking for Unforgiven, but he's distanced himself right behind his front line. Svenskeren looking for an explosive cask as well. Gets decent burst damage on Unforgiven, but he can heal back up with the Bloodthirster.
Yeah, he's alive.
Down to 50% HP, and no one can get access to Unforgiven. If you can't get access to the backline, this is a lost cause for TSM. 100 Thieves will continue pushing on forward. Yukino still has Cataclysm to play with. He wants to look for the flank. Flash from Pretty over the wall. The laser onto Hanser. Destiny goes golden with the stasis. Cataclysm into the blast cone. Sends Draxku back into his death alongside Hanser, and 100 Thieves Challengers only drop one.
Only give up one, and TSM, like, Neo is just not able to fight in these situations. The front line for TSM going just a little bit too far forward. Inhibitor gonna get cracked open by the members of 100 Thieves, and if they're gonna be taking a portal out, they're gonna be able to take away all of these different objectives, all of these camps away from the side of TSM. And Doxa, I mean, despite some of the early plays that they were able to make with Svenskeren, not been able to further any of their designs. And here, again, look at this. Watch how Neo is able to play from this whole thing, because Unforgiven is hitting the entire time, even if it's mostly on tanks. But Neo knows that he needs to keep his front line in front of him, and he's always hitting the tank, right? He's never actually hitting any of the members that might allow him to reset. He never has a chance to hit Pretty, never has a chance to hit Unforgiven. And once the damage runs out trying to hit these big tanks, Unforgiven has been hitting much squishier, much higher damage members. But once you start getting that, there's not enough left.
That's right. And it's just easy cleanups for the rest of the 100 Thieves Challengers. Once all the initial engage tools, all the disengage tools have been used offensively by TSM, there's nothing that stops 100 Thieves, who were very patient on their ultimate usages as well. So it's just a clean fight from 100 Thieves, being able to close it out. And I have to say, Josh, with 2.5 minutes before the next dragon spawns, it being Soul Point, I think 100 Thieves are set to close out this game.
Yeah. I love the fact that Unforgiven still not even trying to build towards a mythic item. Another fight in the exact same place.
Doesn't need that mythic. Natofo Strike gets a decent knock up into the front line, but you gotta look for the back line. TSM
Monster
seeing if there's one miracle play that can be had, but the front line is already evaporating. Yukino finds his sights onto Neo, and Neo is locked into Cataclysm. Yukino goes golden. Flag and Drag still connects.
He's alive!
Yukino still lives, baby! extra kill to clean it all off. TSM are ace, and 100 Thieves will march into the base to take the series.
100 Thieves are so good. Yukino is so good at making sure that Neo never gets the resets he needs, never gets the damage out, and it's Neo's first death of the game. It's the one death that matters. 100 Thieves early game definitely rougher than before as Yukino sacrifices himself to the fountain of TSM, but 100 Thieves will go 2-0 on this, and that means that they will be going up against Dignitas in the upper bracket.
Yeah, a stronger showing from TSM in the second game around, but not strong enough to take down 100 Thieves Challengers. And maybe the read, you know, was they were able to upset CLG, but 100 Thieves are going to stand their ground, and this roster is looking damn good as we head further and further into the playoffs, especially in the upper bracket. Now, TSM are still going to have that second lifeline in the lower bracket, but of course, that means more games on their way and one less chance of redemption. But for us, we're going to be sending it to a break. When we come back, is going to be Cubby on the interview desk with 100 Thieves Challengers.
Hello everyone, back with an interview and lucky to be joined by the hard carry marksman for 100 Thieves Challengers in Unforgiven. Congrats on the 2-0 over TSM Challengers, moving forward in the upper bracket. I know, talking a little bit beforehand, you know, obviously happy you guys brought the Game 2 victory home, but it wasn't the best start for you guys in that game. So, like, what kind of went on? I know there was a big turn in the top lane that went in your favor. Like, what were the comms like for that game, like, as you guys were trying to hold on and get a foothold back into that game?
I mean, in this game, it wasn't like a lot happening. It was pretty much we got a kill around bot lane, if I remember correctly, and we got a bit behind. And they were like on their mythic spikes, while we were not. So we just got off like, let's not fight now, and then we just wait until we get item on Victor, and then we can start fighting. That was pretty much it. It wasn't like too much happening, and then we started winning.
Yeah, I mean, that top lane turnaround was huge. I want to credit your support. Destiny had a big dredge line cancel on the Gragas too that eventually helped Pretty get out as you guys managed to turn that game in your favor. Now, I know behind the scenes, of course, the LCS team made a coaching change. So Dan, I know, is now the assistant for them. You guys have had, I believe, Kyrie join you, who was a notorious Jarvan player back when he was competing himself. Is that a pick that, you know, he's kind of brought to the table, or is that something that you guys just feel is really strong and Yukino is comfortable playing with your team?
I mean, I don't even know if Kiro is a Jarvan player. I just know he's a jungle main.
Yeah. Oh yeah, way back, man. That's like some EU LCS history, way back with the Jarvan. But yeah, no, it's been cool. I obviously like that change behind the scenes. What kind of impact has that had on you guys as a team? Like, what kind of positives has Kyrie been able to bring to you guys?
The only change is that Kiro is kind of like filling in a new role because he was not really used to head coach, and it was like more assistant coach and helping more with the players than the team. So now we kind of like are missing the help players. It's more like team and less for players right now. That's pretty much the only change, but it's going still pretty good.
Yeah, it's great to hear. It's going well behind the scenes. Obviously, we can see that on the Rift too. You guys have been looking good for playoffs. So I know we were talking a little bit, you know, beforehand about you coming to NA. Obviously, you know, competing at NACL, your level of play has been very high, which of course we expected given what we've seen from you in your career. But what's it been like for you, you know, trying to keep up that form, you know, competing in this league and competing in NA? What are the positives or the negatives been as you've kind of been grinding it out here in LA?
I mean, the negatives are, it's pretty much like NA Suluki is just way worse than EU, like way worse. And the positives are it's probably the food in NA.
Okay, that's good to hear.
League-wise, I don't think there's anything positive from my experience so far.
Yeah, well, you know, hopefully, you know, if you guys can keep on picking up some wins going further, that could be some positives at least to bring home. And yeah, food-wise, it's great for LA. Hope you guys earned yourself a nice team dinner tonight. As I know that before, you know, you head on out, you do face Dignitas this upcoming week. They're one of the stronger teams in the league, so assuming that you guys scrim against them at least a little bit. Are there any like teams that you're looking out for, or think are pretty strong in this league, or do you guys feel like you can take on anyone?
I mean, I think we can win against everyone. But I really think like Fly, Dig, and C9 are pretty good. And I really want to play against Fly because their coach is my old coach.
Yeah.
It would be really fun to play against him.
Yeah, well, that's cool. I know that's a matchup that could be coming up if FlyQuest are able to make that run through the lower bracket, as they dropped a really close series against Dignitas today. And I think that those teams looking really strong, and you guys yourself, I throw you on the list too. So Unforgiven, before we say goodbye to you, just kind of want to open the floor. Any thank yous or shout outs you'd like to give?
Shout out to like everyone that is like supporting me, of course, and and my family, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, well, hey, watching you play in this league has been incredible, man. Keep up the good work. You've been playing so well in the Rift, and hope you guys get a nice team dinner afterwards with that victory. Do something fun. Is well-deserved, and congrats on the 2-0.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much for Unforgiven for joining us. Gonna wrap things up here with Rafa and Joshi, as, man, Unforgiven feels like any challenge that he's had presented to himself, he's been able to topple here in NACL. Definitely a player we had high expectations for, but man, he just continues to deliver good play.
Honestly, very excited to continue to see how he will perform. And honestly, we're just kind of waiting for his buyout at this point, right? There's a big question on whether or not he will be back for 100 Thieves Challengers come summer, just because he is just that good, head and shoulders above almost anybody else currently in the league, and able to get them to the next page in the bracket with a clean 2-0.
100% agreed.
Yeah, let's check out that bracket. Rafa, going to start with you. We got some results on the other stream that you might be seeing now. I will say, I don't think there's any surprise that TLF was 2-0'd by COG. 5fam not picking up against Immortals either. But what are you guys looking out for, as we have a little bit of time to ourselves, but any matchups you're really excited for next week? I'll get one upper, one lower.
C9 Fear, baby. Oh my goodness. I think Fear is on the revenge train of
Warpath.
Yeah, the Warpath. They are just looking to take down every single Challengers team to really make a name for themselves. I mean, we were impressed with the Fear upset over Golden Guardians. I mean, the Fear into EGC was rightfully deserved for them as well, specifically for Perry and Faisal coming from the EG Prodigies lineup and not being given that second chance into their Challengers roster. But man, I think Cloud9 is going to be the toughest opponent. If they look good against them, oh my goodness, it'll be great.
Yeah, well, guys, I appreciate your thoughts. It's been a really fun day here on broadcast, as, I mean, fortunately for us, our internet didn't go out, which was great because we were actually all in the same place. So from all of us here at our little place, thanks so much for tuning in to LCS Challengers today. Thank you so much to the teams for competing. Everyone behind the scenes here with Rally Cry who helped us on out. We're going to be rating twitch.tv/Vienna, and we will see you next Saturday at 1 p.m. Pacific for more playoffs action here from the LCS Challengers League. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great week filled with positive gaming experiences.
Bye, y'all.